A mixed wave of reactions for candidates who sat in for the General Certificate of Education GC Ordinary and Advanced Level across Cameroon. And of course, these students have been some jubilating and others crying. And the results of both examinations, that is the GC Advanced and Ordinary levels, have been released today with a noticeable drop in performance, according to statistics that were released by officials in the Ministry of Secondary Education. In this edition of the news, we tell you that 3 young men have been found dead in their residence in the neighborhood of Chang in the Menor division of the West region of Cameroon. The circumstances that led to their demise are still under investigation by security officials. And also in this edition of the news, we take you deep in the heart of underdevelopment and of course the challenges rocking the Cameroon Development Corporation, the CDC. The CDC that is still battling to stand up after the effects of the armed conflict in the northwest and southwest English-speaking regions of Cameroon. These stories and more will be yours. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for accepting to be informed by the best of radio or television network, Equinoxe. I am Fomi Armstrong Sander from Equinoxe Central News Desk in Douala, Cameroon. Now, we're starting on human interest to say that 3 young men have been found dead inside a residence at the Mingmetu Junction. It's a neighborhood in the town of Chang, in the Menor division of the West region of Cameroon. The circumstances that led to their demise is still under investigation. The macabre discovery was made on Thursday and has left the entire neighborhood in deep shock as authorities are currently investigating. We have details with Malak Glory in the following report.
The horrific incident unfolded on Thursday, August 20, 2026 in the Mingmetu neighborhood of Chang, West region, where 3 young men aged between 30 and 35 were found dead in a room under unclear circumstances. According to initial findings at the scene by police officials, the victims appeared to have been tortured and stabbed. One of them was reportedly found in the shower with his throat slit. Officials added that the victims hail from the northwest region and have been living in the area for years now. Distressed family members stated that they can't say exactly what happened. While the bodies are being transported to the Chang Regional Hospital Annex, official investigation have been launched. The senior brother of one of the victims explained that the tragedy involved 2 friends who were simply trying to help a stranger without knowing it would lead to their death.
So that Thomas gave his key to that is his friend in the village. That when he comes, let him rest in his house in Cham. Then the next day he continued his journey. That guy came, and as he tried to open the door, Thomas' door, it shows the door was locked inside. Somebody opened from inside.
Before they could call for help, the worst had already happened.
I came back from the farm. I had no call from them. I didn't hear from them. We slept. This morning, Tuesday, I called again. Their lines were switched off. I said, but what's happening? 3 guys will be Mofo James, the other guy who is there.
Itwe Peter Mbongo, senior divisional officer for Menor, accompanied by forensic expert, firefighters and law enforcement officers, visited the site to supervise the necessary legal procedures. The 3 bodies have been transported to the mortuary of the Chang Regional Hospital Annex for an autopsy and further forensic investigation to be done, and also to determine the exact circumstances surrounding this tragedy.
And on to another sad story still in the west region of the Republic of Cameroon. 3 persons have died in a road accident in a Tukop. Tukop is a locality on the stretch of road linking Bangante in the west region, or rather Bangante in the Nous division to Fumbot in the Nous division, all of the west region. The accident occurred in the early hours of yesterday, Thursday, August the 20th, 2026, as Cedric Chakuchu tells us in the following report.
3 individuals, a woman of about 50 years old and her 2 children, perished in a road accident that occurred in Tukop at the entrance to Bagante in the West region. According to eyewitnesses, a truck coming from Fumbot collided violently with a motorcycle that was transporting them to a nearby farm. The three occupants of the bike, described as members of the same family, are believed to have died as a result of the collision. An ordinary morning turned into a real nightmare for a family now plunged into grief. This new tragedy reminds us of a previous accident that recently occurred in Dikinimiki, where 7 members of the same family lost their lives in a tragic accident, plunging an entire community into consternation.
And shock and consternation rocked the Sandaga market. That's one of the largest food markets in Cameroon's economic capital city, Douala, after 3 persons died in a tragic circumstances. The 3 are said to be workers or technicians who are working on the building you see ahead of you, just on the opposite side of the Sandaga market in Douala. They fell off the story building and died. 3 persons died, and of course, they are said to be workers who were working on that building. Their bodies were immediately taken away by officials of the Army Rescue Unit and of course have been placed in a mortuary pending burial arrangements by family members who were present on the scene at the time. Equinoxe radio and television was on the scene, expressed shock and disappointment to the unfortunate incident, and an investigation has been launched by security officials to clearly make public the circumstances that led to the unfortunate incident. And as we told you in our top stories, results of the Cameroon General Certificate of Education have been released today, Friday, and of course, from officials of the Ministry of Secondary Education. The Minister of Secondary Education, Nalova Lyonga, indicated that a 7.58% drop in performance has been recorded compared to last year. The overall percentage this year stood at some 67, that is some 69.88%. According to the minister, some 208,741 candidates registered for the 2026 session of the examinations organized by the GCE board. Overall, some 196,565 sat for the examination, and of course, with less than 200,000, and of course, with less than 133,427 pass recorded. Officials say that there's been a noticeable drop, down from 75.46% last year. For the ordinary level, some 98.040 candidates, that is a percentage pass. With regards to the ordinary level, some 98,040 candidates registered for the examination, and of course, some 88,053 sat for the examination. The percentage pass also recorded a drop. We're going to be coming back to an exact report compiled by Rexafon in Biya vis-a-vis the statistics, and of course, officials are indicating that there's been a noticeable drop, as we told you in our top stories. But let's first of all get to some reactions that were captured from candidates who sat for the examination and some parents who were present in some schools in Bonaberi in the Douala 4 municipality shortly after the results were released.
Very happy for today, like I was not even expecting it. I'm very grateful to my teachers, like seriously, like I wasn't even expecting like to have the joy today. Obviously, I wrote in advanced level, I had 4 papers, like I'm very happy, like seriously.
I'm wearing my uniform for my last time. This opposite has not really been good on my side. It was really stressful, it was traumatizing me, but I'm grateful to the Lord that at least He was able to make me to pass in this opposite.
I had my result. I'm very happy as the GC is out. It was unbelievable, but at least I wrote well. I'm very happy.
4 papers. 4 upon all the insults. I made it. Bermond is the only school that made me to stand up. 100%. It's not easy. The only.
We are very, very satisfied with the results. We have done it as usual. Instead, students perform exceptionally well in all the exams that they wrote under the GC board. So it's wonderful. So we are very satisfied with the work that we did.
Very, very grateful to God first and Bermond second. This woman has been doing her job. She has been doing it. She has been doing it. God, I rest my hands to you.
I feel like flying with the wonderful results. It makes me feel so fulfilled that I have teachers who are committed, teachers who are punctual, teachers who are there to do their job and providing output. I'm overwhelmed.
And of course, those are students who are reacting in Biya in the southwest region. We shall be coming back to a report compiled by Rexafon. Now, let's talk about the effect of the crisis on the Cameroon Development Corporation, the CDC, that says it has suffered losses of over 1.8 million francs CFA after some 52 young palm trees were allegedly cut down in one of their plantation estate in Equinoxe, that is in Mutengene, Fako of the southwest region. We have details with Semat Njikan Gabriel.
Over 50 young palms brought down at the CDC Equinoxe plantation situated along the Mutengene-Ombe stretch of road in Fako Division, southwest region of Cameroon. For the general manager of the corporation, it is a way of frustrating the workers' effort.
It is the best way to frustrate all the efforts that government is making to revamp the CDC. It is the best way to frustrate all the efforts that management is making to keep the CDC afloat.
Each of the palm that was destroyed is valued at 35,000 francs CFA, bringing the direct damage to about 1,820,000 francs CFA. The destroyed estate has an advantage.
Plantation in areas like that have become even more important today, because there are certain areas of CDC which are not 100% accessible. We cannot operate 100% in Malindi. We cannot operate 100% in other estates in Nyanja. So a place like Bota, Moliwe, where we can operate, we have to do the maximum. And when we face a situation like the one we are facing, where young palm trees in their prime production age are being felled, it is life-threatening.
CDC maintains there has been no legal surrender of the land. It says the group that entered the estate applied in 2023, but authorities, including the late SDO, ruled they had no right to request CDC land. But what is the way forward?
The way forward should be the following. It is true that there is organization. It is true that CDC will continue to be subjected to pressure. Every action, every development, everything, if it is not guided by law, we drive into anarchy, which nobody wants. It will not benefit anybody. There's a laid-down procedure for the surrender of CDC land. Let it be respected.
The Equinoxe plantation that was destroyed is expected to supply newly commissioned mini-mill at Moliwe. This destruction comes at a time when the head of state had suspended all land transactions in Fako and on CDC land. For any surrender, there must be an authorization from the presidency. CDC is now calling on the administration and security forces to enforce the law and prevent further encroachment on its land.
From the southwest to the central region, to safeguard a major security operation in the central region has led to the arrest of some 12 suspected criminals and the seizure of firearms, ammunition, military equipment, cannabis, and several motorcycles. The operation carried out in the Vogbetsi neighborhood was done by gendarmerie officials, as innocent as it tells us in the following report.
In the Vogbetsi neighborhood in Yaoundé, as well as in Ebebda in the Lekié division of the Central region, the Central Gendarmerie Legion has launched operations resulting in the arrest of several suspected criminals. In Vogbetsi, gendarmes reportedly discovered what appears to be a military arsenal at the home of a man, presented as a suspected armed robber. The patrol came across this man carrying a firearm. His responses did not add up, so we immediately proceeded to search his home. where we found this entire arsenal. Despite his explanations, the items seized could weigh heavily in the legal proceedings against him. This is a malicious individual who was in possession of 2 weapons, apparently ready to harm law-abiding citizens moving around the city. In Ebebda, amidst a recent rise in insecurity, the gendarmerie has also stepped up its operations. For some time now, there has been growing insecurity in Ebebda area, following reports from the administrative authorities and the vigilance of the forces of law and order. The commander of the Central Gendarmerie Legion came down to the area. In strengthening these efforts, a significant quantity of material was seized. We recovered firearms, ammunition, cannabis, military equipment and several motorcycles. Several suspected armed robbers and motorcycle thieves have been arrested with a significant seizure during the intervention. We conducted an operation that led to the arrest of 12 suspects found in possession of Indian hemp and in particular a firearm. One of them had a military uniform at his residence, which was presumably being used to intimidate the population. We also discovered a house that was being used as a workshop for dismantling and selling stolen motorcycles. The Central Gendarmerie Legion says it will not ease the pressure on suspected criminals and promises to continue operations in the targeted areas as it works to restore security and reassure residents.
I will come back to a greater report on the performance of candidates who sat for the General Certificate of Education Examination, GCE Ordinary and Advanced levels, to say that there's been a significant drop in the performance in this year's General Certificate of Education, GCE examinations, according to the results released today. Statistics from the Ministry of Secondary Education indicates that the overall pass rate has fallen by 7.58%. The release of the results brings to an end weeks of anxiety for both parents and candidates, particularly after the written phase of the examination was unexpectedly interrupted by a suspension linked to reported cases of examination malpractices. With the results now officially released, candidates can finally know their fate, while schools and parents begin assessing what may have contributed to this year's decline in performances. Rex Afon is the man on the report from Biya in the Southwest region.
At long last, the results of the examinations organized by the General Certificate of Education Board have been released.
I found my name. Done and dusted.
For some successful candidates, the long weeks of study have finally yielded positive results.
I'm so happy, so happy, because I couldn't wait. It was such a long and difficult journey. Yes, considering the stress and pressure my parents mounted on me, all the sacrifices. So I couldn't just wait to make them proud.
According to statistics provided by the Minister of Secondary Education, this year's performance recorded a 7.58% drop compared to last year. The release of the results, however, brings relief to parents and students.
It's a relief, general national relief for both parents, teachers and the candidates and every stakeholder involved in this exam, that at long last they are out. Congratulations to parents whose children have succeeded. Congratulations to the transition management team. It has been an arduous task on them, given the challenges they have exceptionally undergone this academic year.
This year's written examination session was postponed by 2 weeks following cases of examination malpractice and question paper leakage. Stakeholders say immediate action is needed to prevent such incidents.
The failures we have had in the recent past years, and particularly this year, cut across its multidimensional.
While some remain concerned about the decline in performance, it is time to celebrate for those who emerged victorious.
I'll celebrate first, but I can't. This joy, I need to express it. Then next, I can see how to admission in the University of Biya.
Of the more than 103,600 candidates who sat for the examination across the country, over 133,400 passed.
From education, we talk politics or institutional news to say that President Paul Biya has returned back to Cameroon after 74 days abroad, ending the longest recorded absence of his presidency. But beyond the scenes of his arrival in Yaoundé yesterday, his return back to the country opens a new chapter, that of questions about his health, the functioning of the government during his absence, the transparency of the presidential communication, and ultimately the future of leaders in Cameroon. Babila Jonathan, staff has more in the following report.
President Paul Biya's return to Cameroon has ended weeks of speculation surrounding his 74-day stay outside the country, officially described as a private stay in Europe. His return has, however, not answered all questions. It has rather generated more questions. During the state broadcaster's live coverage of his return, Cameroonians saw only a few seconds of recorded images showing President Paul Biya physically at the Yaoundé-Simalé International Airport. The broadcast did not provide sustained live pictures of the president after his arrival. That limited visual coverage has raised fresh questions about transparency and the extent to which the public is being kept informed about the president's condition and activities.
The president has been out for 74 days. He came back in the country. No press briefing. Some say they did not see his face. Some say they saw the hand of the state and not the head of the state. However, everybody can interpret it anyhow. But I think we are in a crucial moment in the history of our nation. And at this point in time, I want to believe that President Biya has been out. A lot of talking has been going on. And a lot of people believe that he was out because of ill health. I don't want to dabble into any of such things.
According to civil society leaders, the bigger question now is what happens next. Will the 93-year-old president immediately resume a visible program of official duties? Will he address the nation and directly reassure Cameroonians about his health and capacity to govern? The prolonged absence also revived debate over the practical functioning of government when the head of state is physically outside the country.
My main focus is that President Biya is coming back at a time Cameroonians have lost their lives in many accidents. We have not heard him. He's coming back at a time a lot of things have been happening, a lot of speculations. He's coming back at a time the country seems to be at a standstill. Everybody who cares about the political evolution of this country has been asking, where is the new government President Biya promised when he was taking out of office after the 2025 election, where many believe that the Constitutional Council made him president against the wishes of Cameroonians. However, he is president.
The government has maintained that President Paul Biya remained in control and continued exercising his constitutional powers, but the episode has also brought renewed attention to Cameroon's constitutional succession arrangement and the question of who will assume responsibility should the president become unable to perform his duties. The revised constitution states that in the case of permanent absence of the President of the Republic or vacancy at the helm of the state, the Vice President takes over and completes the current mandate of the President. But the Vice President is yet to be appointed. For many Cameroonians, therefore, the President's return is only the beginning. The coming days will determine whether his physical presence is accompanied by greater visibility, clearer communication, and a demonstrable return to the full exercise of presidential duties.
And still on the same page, some critics, observers, and civil society actors in Cameroon have once again urged the President Paul Biya to step down on grounds that he no longer has the physical and mental capacity to lead the nation Cameroon, though it is difficult to sustain the argument about his physical state with undisputable facts. Those who call for his resignation also highlight the point that, according to them, Cameroon as a nation has been regressing and And now things in Cameroon are kind of complicated. Take a listen to one of them, civil society actor Ndium Emmanuel, who spoke to Babila Jonathan.
Having Mr. Biya's age is grace. It's grace that is not given to anyone. But do not failing to use this age to serve God and his people becomes a spiritual abuse. I'm just coming back from the village. My grandfather is, I think it should be 2 years. 2 years less older than Mr. Biya, but he barely hears. He barely hears. Now, at this age, we need his wisdom to guide him, and not his political cabal around him who have taken the country hostage to keep preaching that he is able. Because one will not be out of place to say that Mr. Biya has come of age, and that age, by nature, one cannot cheat it. I don't see a situation where if there's an emergency in this nation now, Mr. Biya will be able to run from Yaoundé to go down. I know some people will say he has governors, he has duos, he has delegated powers. No. Out of all these people I've just enumerated, none of them has ever been elected. I'm talking about someone who is there through the election of Cameroonians. But again, it becomes so worrisome, it becomes so disturbing that our president, we see him more on pictures than see him in the physical. The country is in a standstill, not the best. So the coming back of the president should not be like the second coming of Jesus Christ, when it will actually have no impact on us. Because whether he is away or he is in Cameroon, I don't see his impact. The bottom line is that it is time for him to rest, like any other person can rest. There is one thing in life we can't cheat, which is nature. And I think his entourage has been fooling him, because a lot of them have committed crimes. We know of the Can gate, we know of the COVID gate, we know of, all the other gates, like embezzlement scandals in Cameroon, that they are trying to use the president's image to cover it up.
Civil society leader Ndium Emmanuel ending this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinoxe Television. Ladies and gentlemen, we keep the rest for the next edition. So thank you so much for your keen attention. Continue to stay with Equinoxe. At 8 p.m. you're going to be having a fresh edition of news. It will be in the French language. And of course, news will continue tomorrow, Saturday, first bilingual edition at midday. So me, I'm going to be back on this same platform on Monday at 6 p.m. God willing. Meantime, have a nice weekend.